Hello and welcome to a new week of meals. I'm starting off with a chicken pot pie casserole. Super duper easy. As I do at the beginning of the week, I'm taking 2 cans of cream of chicken condensed soup here. I believe I got this from Walmart. I think this is the Great Value brand. Use whatever you like. And then the recipe calls for a cup of milk. I didn't have milk. I don't usually buy milk, but I did have heavy cream. So I took half a cup of heavy cream and half a cup of water to make the 1 cup of liquid. I'm seasoning with some salt and some pepper. And then I am going to mix everything up and continue with the rest of the recipe. As per usual, recipe will be down below, so feel free to visit that link if you'd like the complete recipe with measurements. In the meantime, I'm going to take the canned biscuits that I just purchased from Aldi, and I'm going to stick those in the oven per instructions just for a few minutes to kind of get them going a little bit, start to bake. In the meantime, while that's going in the oven, I'm going to take some frozen veggies and add them to the cream of chicken soup and the heavy cream with water. If you've watched any of my videos before, you know I don't typically follow recipes to a T, so I have kind of just made my own adjustments here, but if you'd like to follow the recipes exactly, again, it will be linked down below. So now I'm taking the frozen veggies and just moving them around in the hot liquid and just getting those to defrost a bit, and then I'm going to season this a little bit more after I give it an initial taste test. Decided to add a little bit more salt and pepper to this. Excuse me. And I also decided to go ahead and add the garlic powder to this mixture on the stovetop as opposed to later on in the recipe. So I am adding some rotisserie chicken that I've shredded here. Just make this super, super easy. Again, obviously you can make your own, heat up your own chicken, cook up some chicken breast or chicken thighs, whatever you like. But again, this is just a Costco rotisserie chicken that I'm adding to the mixture on the stovetop. After about 8 minutes, the biscuits are ready to go. You can see they're not completely browned through yet, but they have puffed up. So I'm going to set those aside for a second. I'm going to grab my baking dish and I'm going to assemble this now to put into the oven. So here we go. I'm just pouring the liquid stuff in with the chicken. I'm going to move that around to make sure that all of the shredded chicken has been evenly distributed throughout the dish, and then I'm going to top it with the biscuits and a bit of butter. I'm just taking my pastry brush and dipping it into some room temp butter, and I'm just going to brush that over the biscuits, excuse me, to help them brown up in the oven. Now the recipe does say that you should mix this with the garlic powder, but as I had mentioned a little bit earlier, I did mix the garlic powder into the actual soup mixture. So now the biscuits and the rest of the casserole is ready to put into the oven. I'm just going to bake that per usual, and when it is done, this is what you get: nice golden brown buttery biscuits on top of that delicious chicken pot pie quote unquote filling. It's perfectly seasoned, so delicious, nice flaky biscuits. This was a really, it's a really easy recipe that we quite enjoy. So this is me just plating it up here, or bowling it up, plating it up in a bowl here. Again, really easy. Give this one a try, really delicious. Next up, we've got tacos al pastor. I bought this seasoned pork from Aldi, and I've got some white corn tortillas here. I'm just going to take the pork that is already pre-seasoned, and I'm just going to heat that up and try to brown it in my skillet on the stovetop. You can see the juices and stuff have started to evaporate, and the skillet is getting nice and dry here, so we're going to try to get some color on the pork. Here we go, scraping this up. You can see there's a little bit of color going on, so this is pretty much ready to serve up. Now, I did give this a bit of a taste test because I wanted to make sure it was, the way I like it. I noticed that because I've never tried this pre-seasoned pork before, that it wasn't as sweet as I kind of like it. So I decided to add some chopped frozen pineapples, which obviously will become defrosted in here in this mixture. So that did add a little bit of sweetness to this. Really good. I really liked it with the pineapple. It added also a bit of moisture. Here we go, served in just some warmed up corn tortillas with some onion, cilantro, got some crema and some lime. Bringing back the Yoshida's marinade for the next dinner. Super easy, Korean style, inspired sloppy joes. I added some green onions to that, served on a keto bun. Got some French fries for the guys, and some mayonnaise with, what do you call it? What's that stuff called? Sriracha, sriracha mayo. This was a really good dinner, really, really delicious. So fast and so easy. Last up, I am sharing with you a massaged kale salad with some chicken. I'm making up the dressing here now. There's no recipe for this. Kind of just take your inspiration from the ingredients that I'm putting together here, and you just kind of make it your own. But I'm taking half of a very, very extremely juicy lemon, and I'm adding some extra virgin olive oil to that. I believe typically the ratio of oil to acid is 2-to-1, but again, just do it as you like. I'm adding some keto-friendly Lakanto maple syrup, and that's just going to add some sweetness. You can add sugar if you like. I've got some salt and pepper here, and then I'm going to mix that together, give it a bit of a taste to see, if I want to adjust anything at this particular moment. I'm adding a tiny squeeze of Dijon mustard here to help emulsify, just to add a little bit of flavor to it, a little bit more acidity, and just a different sort of, a different kind of flavor to it. So yes, you can see that it's added a bit of viscosity so that the dressing can kind of mix together. I also decided to add some onion powder for some savory flavor. So I'm mixing that up. You can also add shallots. I've added shallots to this, and if you can get your hands on onion sprouts, those are so delicious in this kind of a salad. But in lieu of that, I'm adding onion powder, giving it a taste, and then I'm moving on to the kale portion. This is just pre-washed, bagged kale. This is regular kale. If you decide to use baby kale or something a little bit more delicate, you're not going to want to massage it, as you'll see me do in just a second. But you can see this kind of kale is just a little bit more fibrous. I'm removing all the really thick stems just to make it easier to eat. I'm ripping it up in smaller pieces because there are some large chunks of kale here, but I'm just prepping this before I add the dressing. Once the kale is prepped, I'm going to add a bit of the dressing. I'm not going to add all of it. I don't like to overdress my salads. You can always add more dressing at the very end, or, if you like more dressing on yours. But I just want to take enough to coat all of the leaves and some of the rest of the ingredients. Roll up my sleeve. I'm going to take my hand and I'm actually going to massage the salad. And what this does is it helps to break up those tough fibers. Again, if you're using something really more delicate like a baby kale, or as I mentioned, a spinach, something like that, you don't want to massage it. It's just gonna ruin the leaves. But with this, this kale, these kale leaves, it really needs something to kind of make it a little bit more tender, easier to eat. So I'm just going to mix that up. It's going to distribute all of that dressing also and coat everything. So I'm going to taste one leaf, make sure it's the way I like it, and then you can add more dressing if you like. But you can see it's kind of wilted down even just a little bit here. I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients now. Add some berries. I've got some sliced strawberries. Blueberries would be so good. Got pecans in there. Almonds would be delicious. I'm adding some feta cheese. You can add goat cheese. You can add whatever you like. I've added sliced pears. I think I mentioned blueberries just a second ago. But here is the shredded rotisserie chicken. I've got more rotisserie chicken to use. I'm just ripping it up with my hands. And that is pretty much the salad done. Just tossing that a little bit just to make sure the strawberries and the nuts and the chicken are coated in a bit of that dressing. Again, give it a taste. If you like more dressing, you can add more dressing at this point, or you can just eat it as is. But I'm gonna plate this up and you'll see what it looks like in just a second. And here you go, that beautifully, deliciously massaged kale salad served with some rotisserie chicken here. This is just so nice as all the weather is starting to warm up. We're getting ready for summer now. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for taking the time to stop by. I will see you in the next video. Take care until then.